Hello, I just wanted to thank you for clicking on my video, and I also wanted to let you know that not only do I create content here on Class in the Glass, but I also stream content in my Twitch channel, Mr. Revan7. I play single-player games, multiplayer games, and I also do movie reviews and cartoon reviews as well. I also want to encourage you to check out my Patreon, Class in the Glass, where I offer audio commentaries, full reactions for movies, and also the ability to submit questions for my video casts and podcasts. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and enjoy the video. Let's go ahead and get into this movie film review, this scene by scene by scene by scene breakdown for The Fifth Element. Now, here's the question I gotta ask you guys. How many of you have seen Luc Besson's 1997 film, The Fifth Element? Myself, I saw this when I was around, I guess it's around the same time I saw Leon the Professional, so like 12, 13. So 15 years ago. 15 years ago, chat. I saw this movie, and I saw it like bits and pieces since then, maybe on TV or something, or maybe clips online or whatever, you know, randomly playing in the background or something. But I was not a big fan of what I watched. As I said before, I admired maybe the production design, some of the aesthetic, but the plot, it's funny. The plot is both confusing as hell and just mind-numbingly simple. It has so much busy work going on, and so many concepts it's trying to introduce, and yet like when the end result's just like, really? That's it? That's the fifth element is love? Spoiler? It's like, what? And I was like, okay. And so I just never sat well with me. And you had all these weird performances, and Bruce Willis, he just seemed to not know where he was the entire time. Like, he was very much the audience character, but he was playing the Bruce Willis we've seen in stuff like Die Hard or any other action film he was doing during the 80s or 90s. And you can just tell he's just like, I don't want to fucking hang out with all these blue hentai people and Chris Tucker. And I could just feel him getting just more resentful as the movie went on. He's like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I could tell. He was us. We were Bruce Willis, chat. I was Bruce Willis. I'm like, what the fuck? What's happening? just confused overall. Oh, let's see what you guys are saying right now. Oh, no, you guys definitely have. Search any, yes. Portuguese Graphics. I'm talking about The Fifth Element. Ronnie, welcome to stream. I'm doing very well. Talk about Fifth Element. Chris Ayers has seen it. Mauricio Twitch has seen it. Quee has seen it. D. Carlox has seen it. A lot of you guys. Chris might have been high. I was not high. I was sober. I was drinking. But I was sober. Absolutely sober. I've seen that a couple times. Nia Brownie, it's a favorite. Yeah, there you go. So a lot of you guys have seen it. A lot of you guys really enjoyed the film. Keg, Bruce is always the character. He is. He is always that kind of character. You're not wrong. Breaking news. Jude Law will play Captain Hook in live-action Disney Peter Pan. Well, my God. That's cool. Bruce is always that character, though, like he doesn't know what he's doing or something, or like what the fuck is going on here. Yeah, he's very much that audience character. The movie's literally John McClane's space. Yeah, it pretty much is. Yeah. Gotta come to the coast, gonna relax, gonna have a good time. Except it involves aliens. C-Mad, welcome to stream. It's Tis a Class. So you guys, I might be on the out and out with some of you because I'm not the biggest fan of this film, chap, when I first saw it. But a lot of people did like it back in the day. This was like right before the release of Episode 1, chat, 2 years before Episode 1, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And people were just hankering for a big sci-fi epic. You already had films like Independence Day a year before, like 96, which everyone was so excited about and saw multiple times over. People just want to see space aliens and epic galactic battles and shit. And so that's why The Fifth Element it did so well. Had a budget of about $90 million, chat, made $263.9 million worldwide. It was the highest grossing film in France until 2011's The Untouchables, chat. But for a long time, it was the highest grossing film in France because Luc Besson, he is a Frenchman. He's a Frenchman, chat. And he wanted to film the majority of the movie in France, but he was unable to because they didn't have the proper facilities that he needed for crafting a sci-fi epic. So he eventually went to the UK and filmed most of it there, chat. Also, I think this is one of the first appearances, or definitely the first big role for Milla Jovovich. She showed up in this, chat. And of course, you know, Luc Besson, he returned to work with Gary Oldman after the success of Leon the Professional. one of Gary Oldman's best roles in that film as the crazed, murderous detective whose name escapes me at the moment. And also Bruce Willis, who's here and he's very confused yet. But now we must get into the nitty-gritty details, chat. The year is 1914. You're like, wait a minute. I'm here to see a big old sci-fi picture, and we're all the way in 1914. Where are the aliens? Where are the spaceships? Where's the people in the funny hats and costumes? We'll get to that, chat. It's 1914 right now, and we are in an ancient temple that looks like a dry turd on the outside. It just looks like it was shat out, and it's all turd-like. But inside, chat, it looks like a normal pyramid. And so we're inside this temple, and we're following this little boy, Chad. He had just returned from a desert expedition to bring water to his friends, who apparently are being used as slave labor for this goddamn British professor. And Luke Perry, Chad. Luke Perry's there, too. He's in this movie for like 5 minutes. And he brings water to them, and the little boy, he goes in there, and he sees this professor, and he's just, he's dusting away at his walls, and he can't believe what he's seeing. He's like, Luke Perry, this is the most amazing discovery in human history. Apparently, this temple, it's speaking of an ancient ritual involving the 4 elements, fucking earth, wind, fire and water, and combined they form something else, or maybe like a specific thing is between them, like as the 5th element. Oh, what's the 5th element, Chad? I'll tell you in a bit because it's lame. But he's like, oh my god, this is amazing, and apparently it forms some sort of super weapon. And Luke Perry's like, yep. He's like, are you getting all this down? It's like, Luke Perry, yep, definitely. Luke Perry's just drawing boobs. He's just drawing boobs. You dirty Frenchman, Luc Besson. Always thinking about boobs. A lot of boobs in this movie, chap. A lot of Mila Jovovich boobs. He's just drawing boobs as the guy's going off about 5th element, world-ending weapon. And the little boy, the little slave boy, Chad, he's listening to all these things. But then, a priest shows up and he grabs that little boy. But it's not like pedophilia, Chad. He just goes, it's okay, I'll bring them the water. They must not know. These Americans and Brits, they would never understand the powers that they are reckoning with. I will take the water, go outside with the other children and play. And so, chat, he's going to bring them water, but he has a little vial of poison. He gets the cups and he pours it all in there. He's like, forgive me, fucking Robo-Jesus, because literally, chat, he works for Robo-Jesus. And for what I'm about to do, he pours the water in there. He goes, oh, congratulations, Professor, on your incredible discovery. And the guy goes, I know, this is like amazing. Fucking 5th element, maybe behind here. You know, the world-ending super weapon. I'm gonna be fucking famous. He's like, well, let's drink to your upcoming famousness. And he's like, yeah. And they grab a cup, and Luke Perry, he grabs a cup too. But the Professor Paul, right before he's about to take a big old swig of that poison, he goes, we don't need none of this dirty water. And he throws it in the priest's face. I don't need this. We need some proper English alcohol. And Luke Perry goes, I got just the thing. And he goes over, chap, and he gets, like, I don't know, some fucking champagne or some shit, which is probably very, very warm now because they've been in the Egyptian desert for a few days. They're in a giant turd, so it's probably stinky too. And meanwhile, chat, we cut outside, and a giant turd spaceship is now landing. It's like, whoa, okay, that's weird. And the priest goes, oh no, I'm too late. And then, chat, the kids are like, what the hell? And then we get one of the, again, I admire some of the aesthetic in this film, but some stuff, like, it's different. It's definitely different because this ship opens up and we get these giant golden tubbies who are in the suit, and they're just waddling out there, Chad. They got these little skinny heads, but they got these giant gold tubby bodies, like Muppets, and they're walking out. And they're going to where the professor is and the priest is, and the priest is like, I'm sorry, they just, you know, they're about to enter. And Luke Perry, he's freaking the fuck out with what he's seeing. He's just like, oh, and he's like having like PTSD attack, Chad. He's just scrawling what he sees. He's just sketching without even looking at what he's drawing. He's drawing the tubbies. He's drawing the golden tubbies. And these tubbies, eventually they walk over the professor. He's not even paying attention to them. He just keeps like translating the hieroglyphics, and he says, yes, and apparently this weapon, or whatever the fuck it is, it's behind this wall. What an amazing discovery! And then one of the golden tubbies, like, I don't know, uses a thing on him, And does he die? I think he dies. I'm not sure what happens, because he turns around and he goes, "Oh my God, you must be them." He's like, and they're like, "Yeah, we're the guys. We've come for the fifth element and the other elements, the stones. Come for the stones." And then they use like a bleep, like one of those Men in Black mind erasers, and he fucking just keels over. I don't know if he got knocked out or he's dead. It's not known. We never find out. Luke Perry thinks he's definitely dead because he kills like a couple of the Tubbies. But anyway, the Tubbies, and the priest is like, "But you can't take the weapon. What if the evil comes to Earth and we'll be defenseless?" And the Tubbies said, "Don't worry about it. We're gonna bring back the weapon when the evil is coming," which apparently is 300 years from now. The priest goes, "Whew, oh, that's good. We got some time." The Tubbies are like, "Yeah." And so the Tubbies, they waddle in. And they grab the stones, Chad. All the stones represent earth, wind, fire, and water. They grab all those. In the middle of them, chat, is, funny enough, it's actually Mila Jovovich, but we don't know that yet. And it's a sarcophagus going, just like just open mouth. They grab that too, and they're waddling out with it. And they take them all back to the ship. And Luke Perry, he finally, starts coming out of his weird PTSD transfixed state, chat, and he brings up a gun. And the last of the Tubbies, he's like coming out, he's like, "Oh," but then, Luke Perry's got a gun on him, and he's like, "I don't know what the hell you are, but you killed the professor." So I guess the professor did die. And the priest is like, "No, they're not your enemy. They're here to save us. They're here to help us. The great evil is out there. And without them, without the fifth element, we'll be done for. All life will perish across the universe." And Luke Perry's like, "I don't care." And he just bang, bang, he shoots him. He shoots the golden Tubby. It goes, the Tubby gets shot. And the priest, he hightails it out of there, chat. Luke Perry, thing falls down, knocks himself out, and this is so dumb. And the door to the secret wall is closing, and it's like any other person could have easily just gotten out of there, chat. But the golden Tubby, he's so big, he can't waddle fast enough. And the person's like, "Come, you must come." And the Tubby's like, I hate walking. Fuck it. And he's just like, "Here, take my key finger. Pass this along to every priest from here on out and tell them about the impending evil." And then instead of just walking out, Chad, he's like, I'm just gonna die. And he just sticks out his hand. The door crushes his Tubby arm, Chad. And they pull the key, and the guy pulls the key from it. And he goes out there in the giant turd spaceship, not the temple, Chad, not the turd temple, the turd spaceship. It slowly ascends to the heavens. And the priest goes, I promise I will defend the key, and I will pass on your teachings. And then, Chad, we cut 300 years later. It's 300 years later. Everyone is wearing pastel colors now. Everything's very bright and shiny and stuff. A lot of plastic and vinyl in the future. And we're on a military vessel, chat. They're on a military vessel, and they're on some sort of mission. Ooh! Chat, we got a new phone. We got a new fan. Who is this? Com Dragon, thank you for the follow. Welcome to stream. Hope you're having a very nice Tuesday. Even currently in the middle of my review of the fifth element. One of the Tubbies just died because he was too fat. Turd spaceship, 300 years in the future. There we go. I got you up. He's definitely dead. So the professor died. The professor died too. These golden Tubbies, they don't fuck around apparently. They're space rabbis. I guess that's true. I guess they are space rabbis. Anyway, and so 300 years in the future, and we're following I guess the United Federation vessel, Chad. I guess the Earth is all one government at this point. The president is Debo from Friday. He's the president now, which is like, that's kind of cool. I like him. He's very good at his job, Chad. He's very sweaty and nervous, but he's doing okay. And he wants to report in on this secret mission that this vessel's going on, because apparently, Chad, they've encountered an entity of some sort in the galaxy. It's this giant CGI ball of fire and like magma, liquid hot magma, Chad. And they're like, we don't know what the fuck that thing is. And like, make contact with it, and the things go, Aah! It's like, well, it doesn't sound very friendly. Shoot it! And all the military guys, they start shooting the big magma ball. And they shoot it. And it just fucking eats it, and it goes, and it gets bigger, Chad. It gets bigger. And it's like, oh, that's not good. And it's like, let's keep shooting the magma ball. And it keeps getting bigger. It's like, that's not good. Meanwhile, fucking Ian Holm, Bilbo Baggins shows up, Chad. Bilbo Baggins is here. He is the priest. He is the latest priest that has taken all the teachings from all the way back in 1914, Chad, multiple generations, dozens upon dozens of generations. He is the latest one. And he's here to tell President Debo the situation. He's like, listen, that giant fire magma ball, that's just no ordinary giant fire magma ball. That is evil. It is an entity of pure evil. And it will devour the universe without... But what we need, though, well, the only way to stop it is we need the fifth element. And the president's like, okay, what's the fifth element? He's like, I don't know. I don't know. But I know that the other four elements are earth, wind, fire, and water, Avatar. And we get all those in the fifth element, we'll be good. It's like, how do we get those? We need to make contact with the Golden Tubbies. They're right on the outskirts of our territory. I just got a call from them. You got to let them in. The president's like, we're going to take care of the giant magma ball in space first. Continue firing ammo. They fire at this thing. It keeps growing larger, chat. And eventually the big magma ball says, all right, fuck this. And it goes towards the ship, chat. And then everyone starts melting on the ship. And it looks kind of weird. It's like the admiral's and he's got like this mass, like this really like, it's like a loogie mixed of blood. It's like a blood loogie, chat. And he's like melting. It's like, ew, it's all coming down him. It's very gross. And the thing just absorbs the spaceship and they all die on there. But they kind of melted at first. It was, ugh. It's so evil, chat. It makes you melt. And so President Debo's like, fuck, okay, let's let the Golden Tubbies into our territory. That sounds like a good idea. You know, Homer's like, oh, thank God, let's fucking do it. And President Debo, he calls the Golden Tubbies. He's like, you guys can come in here with the fifth element and the other four elements that we need. They're like, sounds good. We saved the day. And Bilbo Baggins is happy. Chet, he's relaxed. Debo, he's doing good. But Chad, as soon as they enter our territory, they're under attack. They're attacked by... This is the actual name of the attackers, chat. These are the actual name of the aliens. Nimrods! The Nimrod aliens, chat. They have attack vessels, and they start shooting at the Golden Tubbies poop shit. And so they shoot the poop. And the thing is, though, chat, apparently the Golden Tubbies spacecraft, it has no weapons at all. And this thing gets shot to shit. And eventually, I think it crash lands into Mars or something. And Debo and Bilbo Baggins, they're upset. Like, no, that was our last chance. Debo, fucking, maybe we can see who survived. Let's, like, send our agents and rescue teams, see if any of the Golden Tubbies are okay, and if the fifth element and the other elements, the stones, shit, the stones are very important. They each represent an element. Make sure maybe those are intact. And, homie's like, I just don't know what's going to happen. I'm just not sure. And meanwhile, chap, after all that, like Bruce Willis does not get introduced this movie for quite a while, chat. We're like another 20 minutes away from Bruce Willis, okay? A lot of exposition, a lot of build-up at this point. And so, apparently, chat, the Nimrod aliens, they have found what they think are the stones. They have a case, and they're bringing it to the villain of the movie, chat, and it is Gary Oldman as Lord Zorg. And I'm gonna tell you right now, he is ridiculous in this film. Like, Gary Oldman's a very good actor, but as pointed out before, he tends to be a little too exaggerated sometimes. And he is very much in that Lost in Space territory, Chad Spiders, because his character, I don't know how to describe him. It's like if you took a southern plantation owner, but gave him a kind of like a male model, like experimental male model runway aesthetic, like just weird fucking clothes, and in a limp chat. He's like in a leg brace, and you combine all that into one person. That's Gary Oldman's character. He is ridiculous. And he hired the Nimrods to get the stones for him, because guess what, chat? He has managed to strike a deal with the magma planet, which is evil incarnate. That's what it all represents. It's just pure evil. Because, chat, Gary Oldman wants money. And apparently he thought the evil magma planet would give him money. How does he know this? I don't think, what? Anyway, so that's what he needs, the stones, so the mega planet will give him money. And that's why he hired the Nimrod aliens, because they're pirates and they're known for doing this kind of shit. And so they come in there, and the leader of the Nimrods, he's like, we have the shit for you. And Gary Oldman's like, hey, man, thank you so much. And chat, he has, like, again, a southern plantation owner accent for most of it. It's like, he'd be very at home in, like, 1862, right? The thing is, he drops that accent every other scene. He reverts back to his normal British accent, an American accent, and that southern plantation owner accent. all within like several scenes of each other. It's like, yeah, this is not working. And apparently, Chad, Gary Oldman has said, 'cause they asked him like years later, so Fifth Element, what was the experience like? He says, I did it for the money. It was a ridiculous film. I'm kind of embarrassed by it. It's like, I love working with Luc Besson in Professional, but yeah, that was a really weird experience. Yeah, he does not like the film. And to be honest, Chad, I can see why. He's not treated very well in the movie. And, well, he's happy he's got the stones back, and he says, oh, now I'm going to show you the things I'm going to pay you with, this is cool. This is one of the aesthetic things I like. I like the weird weaponry in this movie. And he has, like, these giant, like, Halo-like assault rifles, and where it has all sorts of different options. Yeah, you got, like, a cryo cannon and a flamethrower, and explosive darts, chat, and a net gun. You got a net gun on that? But apparently, Joe, it's really cool. As soon as you shoot something, like the last thing it hits, it'll go in the direction of that thing. So no matter where you shoot, as he shows. Very cool scene here, child. I'll give the movie this. It was a very cool scene. So he shoots this one target, and then he just fires his gun in front of all the Nimrods. They're going, but all the bullets go behind Gary Oldman, and they hit the target again. It's like, that's kind of a cool effect. I like that. That was a little ingenious there. And the Nimrods are like, fuck, those look cool. Because the Nimrods want guns because they want to start a rebellion, I think. Or something? I'm not sure. They want revenge against, I guess, President Debo. I don't know, for destroying their race or something. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, and so he's like, all right, well, all these weapons are yours. Give me my stones. I'm like, all right, here's your stones. And then they give him the case. Shit, he opens the thing. It's like, there's no stones in here. Where are the stones? There's no stones. And did you guys not open this? And then Mirage go, they didn't even open the case. How do you know that was the case that had the stones? It doesn't make any sense. And so he's very upset by this. And the Nimrods are like, well, we should still be compensated for our efforts. He's like, the fuck you are? I'm not going to compensate you for nothing. And he's about to walk out shit, but they got him at gunpoint. He's like, all right, let bygones be bygones. Keep a case of the guns, but I'm taking all the rest back. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. And so Gary Oldman, he's walking out with his boy toy. I forget his name. I don't remember his name, Chad, his boy toy. And he's walking out, and the guy goes, so why'd you leave a weapon case in there? He's like, oh, yeah, I forgot to tell him about the extra feature in the guns. It's this little blinking red light. And he's looking at the guys are like, oh, what's the fucking blinking red light? And they're all fucking goofing off and firing nets at each other and shit. And Gary Oldman presses that button, and he blows all the Nimrods up. All the Nimrods die. And he's like, oh, that was a hell of a deal. And he walks off, Chad. And get me a hold of Ian Holm, the priest. And eventually, Chad, we cut back. We cut back to President Debo and Bilbo Baggins. And apparently, Chad, they have found a survivor. Not really. They found a severed hand of one of the Tubbies that was clutching the Fifth Element, or part of the Fifth Element sarcophagus. And we learned from the scientist, Chad, it's like, yeah, it's like a Bugs Bunny gun. Yeah, very much so, gal, very much so. And this is where it gets weird. I'm like, I don't understand this. Like, this one scientist is explaining to this major guy, this general character, that the sarcophagus, it has, like, like a normal human DNA strand is composed of many different lines of code. Well, this one is like 10 times as many lines of code. This particular DNA strand, this thing that this fucking golden tubby was holding, is literally the perfect organism. And I'm like, whoa, that's cool. And it's like, we must bring it back to life. And meanwhile, chat, we cut to fucking Bruce Willis. He's in this movie, by the way. He's in this movie. And he doesn't have a great life, chat. I like this about the film. We cut to his apartment, and it really does feel like those very small, kind of like Chinese apartments that you see in like mainland China, where it's hardly any fucking floor space at all. He wakes up, it's like you have to go to work, like it's like all about work and automation. It's like, get your ass, like you work from like 7 all the way to 9, all right, and then you get some sleep. And I like when he wakes up, chat, everything's kind of automated. His coffee maker's automated. His wall produces 4 cigarettes because he can't smoke more than 4 because he's trying to quit. It's like, oh, this is pretty cool. And he's getting a call from his boss. He's like, listen, you only have so many points left in your license, so don't get any accidents, okay? Don't fuck up. He's a taxi driver, chap. He's a terrible taxi driver. He's like, yeah, I got it. Don't worry about it. And then he's got a call on the phone. It's his mother, and his mother hates him, and he hates his mother. He's like, shut up, you old broad! And He fucking shuts up the phone, chat. He doesn't want anything to do with his mom. And his cat comes in, lets his cat in, chat. That's a big thing. And he feeds the cat. It's like, there you go, kitty. And he's just ready for work, chat. He opens the goddamn door, and there's a crazy person. It's the druggie. And the druggie's like holding a gun at him. He's like shaking. He's got the shake. As you can tell, he needs a high. And eventually, Bruce Willis literally just beats the shit out of this man. It doesn't even matter. He takes his gun. He's like, now get the fuck out of here. He gets out of there, chat. He'll come back, though. He'll come back. He'll be fucked up later on. And so then he goes to work, chat. He gets in his little taxi cab, and he opens it up, and we see the city. It's Blade Runner in the daytime. That's what it is. It is Blade Runner in the daytime. There's no question about that. My part coming up. What's your part, Star Shete? Which one? That's where it gets weird. I mean, it's been weird throughout. No doubt about it. So he drives out, chat, and we'll cut to him in a bit. Meanwhile, we cut back to the scientist and the general guy, and we're now going to reconstruct what was in the sarcophagus, the literal perfect organism. And thankfully, we have goddamn Genesis technology from Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan, so we're just going to grow what was in the sarcophagus. And so they put that in their chat, and they just basically resurrect this thing. And they get the exoskeleton, they get the skeleton, they get all the circulatory systems, the muscles, the skin, and chat, the perfect organism to ever exist in the known universe from the beginning of time until this point, until the end of time, is Milla Jovovich, chat. And she is the perfect organism. And they resuscitate her, and she starts talking mumbo jumbo. No one knows what the hell she's saying, chat. And because Luc Besson, he's got a weird fucking leather fetish, they decide to clothe her in this. You see it right here. It's this thing, chat. Look at this thing. In this weird white striped leather bondage suit that covers all the nips and the hoo-ha. It covers all that, chat. And she's just kind of freaking out because you know what the hell she is. She hasn't really been awake for, I don't know, thousands of years. So she's like, oh, God, this is weird. And the general, he goes ahead and he walks up. Her Cher body thon, yes. Her Cher body thon. That's the perfect way. The bazungas are covered, chat. The nips are covered. And the general goes over there. He's like, I want to communicate with her. And he's trying to communicate, but she's speaking all sorts of stuff. Like, no one understands what she's saying. And apparently, chat, this was a language created by Luc Besson. And in order to get Milla Jovovich to... She's not like... Everything that she's saying is actual dialogue, too. It's not just random baby speak or anything like that, chat. No, it's actual words. He apparently came up with a language that has, like, about 400 words. And in order to acclimate her to the role, he would speak to her using this language on set and beforehand, and they would write letters back to each other before they started production, so she would get used to it and understand the structure. It's like, that's cool. I like that, but I don't know. It just... A lot of people really like Milla Jovovich in this movie. And there's definitely a charm to her, especially in her catchphrase, multipass, which she says multipass all the time. It's funny. But like all this mumbo jumbo baby speak at this point, I'm like, yeah, I'm just not digging this. This is very annoying. You know, and apparently what it is, it's this very advanced alien language and only specific people know. And that's why most of the people just don't know the language. And so the general is like, we gotta put her under. We don't understand what's happening. She goes, and she breaks out, chat. She breaks out of her container, and she punches the general in the face. So we got a container. Wee woo, wee woo. But eventually, chat, she's too quick. She takes it out of the guards because she knows Kung Fu. She's like Keanu Reeves that way. And eventually, she escapes into the ventilation system. And she's running out, chat. Eventually, she's outside. Oh my God, we see all of the future New York City. New York, 22, 33, where the hell it is. And she's looking out everywhere. She says, I have nowhere to go. She's hundreds of stories up in the air. And like the popo, the police, they call her to arrest Milla Jovovich, chat. And they get to her and they're like, all right, ma'am, you gotta come with us, okay? Don't jump or anything. It's okay. Just please come with us. She's like, I'm not coming with you. Fuck you. And she jumps off, chat. And they're like, fuck, she's gonna die. And she falls like a very far, chat. It's like no matter what she would hit, she would die instantly. We would get a big old Milla Jovovich splatter. Big old puddle of what was left of the Jovovich. But chat, she happens to fall directly into the cab of one Bruce Willis, chat. Corbin Dallas. And he goes, whoa! And the robot inside his car goes, wee woo! It's all freaking out, chat. He's trying to get control of the car. He's hitting shit. He's hitting people, babies. Oh, everyone's dying. But he managed to get a hold of the car, and the thing's like, Warren, hey, man, you only got one more point left in your license. He's like, I know, I won't fuck it up. And he looks back. He's like, oh, I got a fucking jumper here. And this girl, she just has the biggest puppy eyes towards Bruce Willis. And Bruce Willis just is like, oh, my God, I love you. You're so cute. And they're having a back and forth chat. He doesn't understand what the fuck she's saying. She doesn't know what, I mean, she kind of understands what he's saying. And she says, bada boom, bada boom. He's like, oh, bada boom. Yeah, they go bada boom back and forth. It's like, listen to fucking Ray Liotta and Joe Pesci go at it for a half-hour chat, except that they loved each other. And he's like, all right, I'm calling the police. And he calls the police chat, bop, beep, boop, 911. He calls them. They pull up right next to his car. He's like, all right, sir, if you can please open the driver's side door. But chat, Mila Jovovich, she has those big puppy dogs, like, bada boom. He's like, ah! And he's like, oh, I feel guilty. He opens the door, chat, and they're like, ma'am, you must come with us. And she's like, bada boom. And he's like, fuck it, fine, whatever. Beep up. And he closed the door, chat, and we get on a little chase. Because he wants to keep his new Mila Jovovich dog puppy thing. And he goes off. And he's avoiding traffic, chat. He's smashing the things, and eventually he pulls a fucking Han Solo, chat, Millennium Falcon-esque maneuver where he hides. He hides in some trash, and the taxi cab is completely fucked up. It's not looking good. And eventually, they're safe, but she passes the fuck out because she fell 20 goddamn stories through a metal car, and he's like, I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go. And I think she mentions the name of Bilbo Baggins. I must find Bilbo Baggins. And he's like, all right. And he's like, okay. So he takes her, chat, and Bilbo, he's just distraught. The universe is going to be ending soon. He's just drinking. He has his little boy toy, his little altar boy with him, chat. And he's getting his pleasures where he can at this point. But then he gets his door, get a little doorbell ring. He goes over to a chat, and what does he see before him? He sees Bruce Willis with the body of the fifth element. He goes, oh my God! And he faints. And Bruce Willis is like, I don't know what's going on. Line, and eventually, chat, we cut, and Bruce Willis, he lays Mila Jovovich down on the couch. Bilbo Baggins is like, oh my God, do you know what this is, Bruce Willis? He goes, I don't know where I am. And he's like, this is the fifth element. This is the savior of the universe, the literal perfect organism. I need to get all my things. I need to get my scrolls and my suit, and I gotta present myself. And he goes off his altar boy chat, and Bruce Willis proceeds to do the most creepy thing imaginable, chat. He just looks at her and starts kissing her while she's knocked out. I'm like, whoa, movie, what the fuck? What? Like, all of a sudden, chat, just like, you know what? She's not gonna know. And just proceeds to start smooching. I'm like, this is very inappropriate. Cancel Bruce Willis. Cancel, chat. Fifth Element is canceled. Take it off the air. It's the 90s. I guess so, Des. Welcome to the stream, by the way, buddy. So he starts smooching her, and she wakes up, she goes, fucking bada boo, not basha. She's all the gibberish. She's like, I'm sorry, I like the deal. She's like, nah. And she pulls a fucking gun on him, chat. She's about to blow his brains out. And she's like saying all this stuff. He's like, I'm sorry, I kissed you. I guess. Should I have asked first? Is that a thing that I should do? Should I ask before I kiss a woman? Ladies, help Bruce Willis out here. Should someone ask to kiss you first before they start kissing you? I don't know. It's 1997. Who does that? Bruce Willis. Or Luc Besson's like, this was fine. This is charming. It's like, nah, it's not really. It's kind of creepy. And so, fucking Bilbo Baggins, he comes up, he's wearing all this shit, and, oh yeah, it's the thing, we learn, cause that's Bruce Willis' askers, hey, what's your name? He didn't even know her fucking name when he started smooching her, chat, when he started sexually harassing her, assaulting her, and she says, she says Lilu, her name is Lilu, chat, lame name. Lilu, he's like, my name is Bruce Willis, or I guess in this case is Corbin Dallas. Very, very, John Carpenter-esque name, Corbin Dallas, and, that's when Bilbo Baggins, he walks in, and he's like, what's happening? He's like, we were just, doing things, adult things. She's like, he assaulted me. And Bilbo Baggins goes, you need to leave, Bruce Willis. You need to get the fuck out of here. And Bruce Willis is like, all right, okay, look, you're not going to call the police, right? I just want to ask you, what does bleep bloop mean? Bilbo Baggins says, don't do that without my permission. He goes, I thought that's what bleep bloop means. And he fucking leaves, chat, and he leaves. And Bill Baggins, he's doing his thing. Meanwhile, we cut to Zorg. Gary Oldman, he's still in the movie, chat. And he's going to send out his boys, chat. He's going to send out his boys to pick up Bilbo Baggins because he somehow figures out he's the lore master of the stones. And he has some questions for him. He's like, do you know where the stones might be? Because they were on the fucking ship. And that's the other thing, too. Ian Holm, I think he learns now that they didn't find the stone. That's what happens. And so he goes to Bilbo Baggins, and they bring him to his office, chat. And then we get just, again, like, Gary Oldman's supposed to be the villain of the movie. Like, not the giant magma mass in the space or whatever. No one cares about that. It's boring as hell. But, like, you gotta, like, be a very intimidating villain here, and he's just a goofball. That's all he is. Because he's trying to, like, threaten Bilbo Baggins' life, and so it's like, no, everything I have at my disposal. I don't need anyone. I don't need everything's on me. I have robots for everything I want. Nothing can disappoint me. Nothing can disappoint me. And he just it's very weird. He has like a drink of alcohol. It's like vodka with a single cherry in it. And he just downs it. And then he just starts choking. And he starts like pressing buttons. And Bilbo Baggins is like, what the fuck is happening right now? What? It's like we are watching Gary Oldman sounding like a Southern plantation owner sometimes, dressed like a runway fashion show model in the year 2130, and with a fucking leg that doesn't work. It's just choking. And I'm like, I don't understand. And eventually, Bill Baggins just starts pontificating and says like, oh, look at you. Always underestimating humanity, always underestimating the beings of different worlds. And you said that you don't need anyone's help. You know, you have all the robots and automation you need. And look what we see here. You can't even get yourself a pat in the back. He's like, oh, save me. But fucking Bill. And also we cut. It's very weird. Gary Oldman presses one of the buttons and it reveals this weird, gross, like abomination, like pygmy elephant or something. It's like this little abomination elephant, and Gary Oldman's like looking at this thing, like, help me, and the pygmy elephant's like, I'm gonna hope you fucking die. He's like, whoa! He like pets it sometimes. It's weird. And eventually, you know, he takes pity on Gary Oldman. He goes, bah! Hits the back. He coughs up the cherry, and he's like, listen, Gary Oldman, even if I knew where the stones were, and I don't, I wouldn't even tell you. And Gary Oldman's like, go. It makes me mad, but you saved my life, so I'm gonna let you live. I don't want to let you live, but I'm gonna let you live because you did save my life. So get going, leave me. And he goes home. It was a very bizarre scene. That's the Fifth Element, Mr. Lars, the Fifth Element. It's very weird. So he goes back, and Leeloo, she has been eating food in mass yet. She's eating literal turkeys. Like, apparently you just pour some salt in the goddamn bowl, you put it in the microwave, fucking giant turkey dinner. That's kind of cool. That's convenient. And she's munching on that, and she's learning the history of humanity, Chad. Oh, that'll be a fun lesson. Got about, 5,000 years of human history. That'll be interesting. She's learning all that shit, and they're like, all right, we gotta get you to, what do we gotta do with you? What's their fucking thing? Oh, yeah, we have to get you off planet, and so we can find the stones. Because this is what happens, chat. He learns where the stones are. What happened was the golden tubbies, they didn't have the stones on the ship. They had the Fifth Element on the ship, but they have them separately. They entrusted the stones with one of their greatest allies, chat, which is a opera singer who is hentai. She is just all the hentai, chat, and she sings opera. And so she's coming on a cruiser, a pleasure cruiser called the Paradise, chat. And that, we got to get to the Paradise, but I need help because fucking Gary Oldman's out there and the Nimrods are alive, by the way. They didn't die. They just got a little fucked up. And they want revenge on Gary Oldman. But who do we go to? He's like, fucking Bruce Willis. That's right. The guy who I said, get the fuck out of here and never bother us again. I got to go to him. And meanwhile, chat, we cut back to Bruce Willis. And he gets a call from his boss asking what happened with the taxi cab. He's like, don't worry about it, boss. I've met a girl and I am in love. Yes, I sexually assaulted her, but I'm sure she'll get over it. And he's all lovey-dovey, chat. But then, by the way, the fucking Federation of the United States, whatever the fuck it's called, they also know about the stones because the hentai woman has them. And they say we need our best agent ever to get the stones for us. And the general, chat, who was punched by Lilu, he's like, I know just the guy. And it so happens to be, chat, Bruce Willis. He's not only is he a taxi cab driver, chat, but he was also the greatest military person in the history of the United Federation of Worlds. And it's like, wow, that's really fucking convenient. And so eventually, the general, he knocks on little Bruce Willis's cubicle. He's followed by two guys. One is just some generic guy. And the other one is a very Rubenesque woman with fucking cinnamon buns for hair. And it's an obvious little kind of, I felt like it was a kind of like like towards George Lucas in Star Wars. Like, look, this is what I think of your Star Wars sci-fi picture. And it's like, all right, that's a little immature, but okay. But the general says, Bruce Willis, we need your help. We need you to go find the 4 stones that can help save the galaxy. And we booked you on this pleasure cruise to get them from the hentai opera singer. And Bruce Willis is like, I'm not interested in that right now, man. I don't want to do it. And he's like, we need your help, son. And but then Bruce was like, I'm done with that kind of shit. You know, my wife left me because of it. My mother hates me because of it. I want nothing to do with it. But then, chat, he hears a little knock on his door, and he goes over there, chat, and it's fucking Lilu. It's Lilu, and it's Bilbo Baggins. He goes, oh my god. And he he doesn't want these people to see Lilu because he knows that they're after her too. He's like, this is terrible. And so he's like, okay, you need to hide. And they're like, why are we hiding? Because, you know, my wife is coming here and she doesn't want anything to do with you guys. She'd be so upset. She divorced me. And the general's like, I mean, I want to help you out, but what are we gonna do? We can't go anywhere. He's like, I'll put you inside my fridge. And I'm like, what? And so he starts taking all his food out of his fridge, chat. I'm not lying. He takes all the food out of his fridge and he just begins stuffing 3 people in it. And they're like, oh, we don't fit. Yeah, you do. You fit. It's this very comedic moment. He stuffs them in there, chat, and he closed the door. And the thing, because everything's automated and like for like spatial stuff, it like goes down to the ground. So those guys are stuck in. There's no oxygen in there, chat. They're gonna die. Wait. And so eventually he opens the door, chat. Lilu goes, Lilu! And she starts smooching Bruce Willis. Is like, okay, she got over that quick, I guess. That's a good lesson. That's a good lesson for the young women of America. Great. But then Bilbo Baggins goes, and he punches Bruce Willis. And he's like, Bruce Willis, we need your help. We need to get the stones from a hentai woman. And Bruce Willis goes, everyone wants the same thing, but you have Lilu, so I'm going to help you. But while this is all happening, he's got a lot of issues on his plate right now. And because now the police are coming, chat. The police are coming. And he's like, shit. You know, he's like, Bilbo Baggins, hide inside my bed. Lilu, hide inside my shower. It's like, really, dude? So she hides in the shower. And he sees the police coming. He's like, oh, shit. And he switches out the numbers from his apartment to the one next door, chat, who happens to be the occupant of that apartment, happened to be the guy that tried to rob him earlier in the morning, chat. And so the police all come up, and they're like, Corbin Dallas, Bruce Willis, what the fuck your name is? Open up! And this guy's just so fucking sketchy and shit, chat. He's shaking. And he's like, fuck you, pigs! And they're like, kill him. And they get in there, boom, they break in their chat, they zap him, they just pummel him. And they got him in a body bag, and like Bruce was like, it's too bad. It's like, really? That guy just died. And they're like, hey, just leave. They leave, chat. And then he goes back to Lilu, and she's shaking, chat, because the shower activated, and she doesn't know how to turn knobs, apparently. She's like, cold, so cold. And Bruce was like, I'm sorry. Let me get you a towel. I'm going to dry you off. Gonna dry you. Gonna dry. It's like, whoa, it's inappropriate. And he dries her, and she's like, oh, you so warm. And they're hugging Chaz, like, yeah, I see what's going on here. But then they hear a gasp. Oh, fucking Bilbo Baggins is in there, chat. And he opens the bed, and this giant plastic sheet has completely covered the body of Bilbo Baggins. And he's just, and they're like, and he freezes. He was about to suffocate. And he's like, so will you help us? And Lilu gives him the big old puppy dog eyes, and Bruce Willis just goes, yeah, I'll help you. But then, this is weird, because Bilbo, I don't know why they did this. Because Bill Baggins notices the tickets to the Paradise, the pleasure cruise, and he takes them himself, and then he knocks out Bruce Willis for some reason, because I guess he just want him involved, even though you would want him involved, because he seems competent enough, but Bill Baggins just makes a quick decision just to do that. And so he takes the tickets, he runs out of Lilu, and they escape. And then fucking Bruce was like, I am just so confused what's happening with this plot. I don't get it. And then he says, oh shit, I've just remembered that the 3 military guys are inside my fridge. He calls his fridge up and he opens a check and they're dead. They are fucking dead. They're frozen. I'm like, oh my God, this is fucked up. And he goes, I guess I'll take that mission, sir. And they're like, they're dead. Actually, they're not dead. They look, when I first saw it, I was like, oh my God, they froze and suffocated to death. Like, they look fucked up. But I guess they're okay. And he's like, I'll take the mission. And then meanwhile, we cut back to Gary Oldman, and he's like, we've somehow learned that Bruce Willis has a secret mission, and that's where the stones are on the Paradise Pleasure Cruise. Go get him, my loyal assistant, his toady, Chad. His toady, if you will. And he sends his toady out to get there. And eventually, Chad, we get to the docking station where we're gonna, the shuttle's gonna leave to the Pleasure Cruise on this other planet. And Ian Holmes says, I'm too old to do this. I shall trust my loyal assistant. And the loyal assistant, he's just a fuck-up, Jay. You can tell in his face. This guy has no self-confidence. He has no skills, no discernible skills whatsoever, Chad. And it's like, yeah, and trust this guy. And he's at the fucking ticket booth, and he's stumbling all over his dialogue, and the ticket lady's like, just give me your fucking tickets, you moron. And Leeloo, that's when we get some of the iconic moments of Leeloo, like, multipass. She says multipass a lot. And it's legitimately adorable, Chad. I'm not going to say it's not adorable. It's legitimately adorable. When she says multipass, it's like, say multipass again. Say multipass again. She does it. It's fun. Great. So, anyway, Chris, this movie is ever, this movie is ever where just enjoy the laughs. I'm trying. I enjoyed the multipass. And so she says, and who walks up, Chad? Big Dick Bruce Willis. He goes, move over, Junior. He throws him, Chad. He's like, I am Corbin Dallas. She goes, oh, that guy was holding your tickets? And he goes, yeah, he's don't worry about it. Thanks, buddy, thanks. And she's like, all right, well, you two are booked. Go down the shuttle. We'll wait for you. And then eventually we see Ian Holmes. We see Bilbo Baggins, and he's enjoying a nice alcoholic beverage talking to a robot bartender. Classic trope of sci-fi, chat. All the jobs that typically are in the service industry are now manned by robots. And so all these people have been displaced, chat. And that's why you have the severe level of poverty in dystopian futures, chat, because the goddamn robos are taking our gerbs. I hate it, chat. And so he's talking, and then his little altar boy runs up, and he says, I'm sorry, sir, I'm sorry, but fucking Bruce Willis showed up. He's like, oh my God, I have to get on there to make sure he doesn't do weird sexually assaulty, rapey things. And so he runs off, Chad, and he sneaks on board the fucking ship or whatever. Meanwhile, we cut to the fucking Nimrod, chat, and they're wearing flesh suits. I guess they killed someone, and they scooped out all the meat and bones and stuff, and they're wearing their skins like fucking Vincent D'Onofrio from Men in Black. And so they go up there, and we are Corbin Dallas. And I was like, no, you're not. Get the fuck out of here. And they're like vomiting up more shit. And they walk around, and they're like, all right, fuck, this is not working. And they start blasting. Everyone starts blasting. They start blasting, and they dump into a giant garbage pit. And I guess they go up the trash compactor. Get it? Because it's Star Wars. Ha ha ha. And so they go up there, and that's how they infiltrate the shuttle. Meanwhile, Chad, we cut back to the little toady that Gary Oldman sent before, and he's like, my name is Corbin Dallas. He's like, you're not Corbin Dallas, okay? I've met several Corbin Dallases, and Corbin Dallas is checked in. Goodbye. And she goes down the fucking elevator shaft. He's like, but I'm Corbin Dallas. And the fucking automated guns are like, oh, shit, okay, oh, God. Okay, please don't shoot me, please. And eventually, Chad, he's like, well, I got to call my boss. I got to call Gary Oldman. I'm sure he won't be bothered by the fact that I failed so utterly and completely. And he calls his like, boss, I couldn't get on the ship. They wouldn't let me on. Apparently, Corbin Dallas got there before me. He goes, you know what? I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. And the thing about being disappointed is that I get mad. What the fuck? So you get, again, the dialogue here, it's like, I bet you Gary Oldman was like, when he read that, she was like, oh my God, this is just not working. And he's like, listen, boss, it'll never happen again. Oh, I know it won't happen again. He presses a button, chat, and fucking his little toady explodes. Little toadies everywhere. He had a bomb inside him. It's fucked up. And fucking, oh, by the way, Gary Oldman gets a call. I don't know how this happens. The giant magma planet that is the evil entity, chat, all the evil in the known universe, literally fucking Skypes with Gary Oldman at one point in the movie. And it calls him, And he's like, so, where are the stones? And Grandma's like, they just had some delays, but I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna get them myself. He's like, you fucking better. And he's like, but my price has gone up 3 times. The Mega Plant's like, the idea of money and price mean nothing to me like an entity like myself. I'm literally infinite. I don't give a shit. And then Gary Oldman starts melting a little bit, Chase. Get some of that like gooey, hoagie blood, chat, like phlegm mixed with blood. He starts melting, and he's like, "Just get me my goddamn stones." He's like, "I will." He goes, "Bleh." He gets it. He's like, "You gotta do something. You got if you gotta do it, you gotta do it yourself, chat. That's what you gotta do." And so if you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself. And he goes out there and he flies out to the thing. But then, chat, we are on the shuttle. And we are introduced, and then the thing is, like, Bruce Willis, he's won these tickets, but he has to do interviews with a certain celebrity every day that he's on the pleasure cruise. And chat, we are introduced to Chris Tucker as Ruby Rhod, who is the most popular celebrity, not only on the earth, chat, but in the entire fucking universe. And Luc Besson just gave Chris Tucker a costume and just said, do whatever you want. I can't describe it. I can't describe Chris Tucker in this movie. It's all over the place. He just has him screeching and squealing his dialogue. He's saying random things I didn't get when he does. When he's not auto-tuned, I understand him. Then he's just being regular squealing, like Chris Tucker, stereotypical Chris Tucker chat. But when he has that fucking auto-tune on, it's impossible to understand. He's just fucking jumping around. He has his goddamn entourage, and he's like, Bruce Willis, how you doing, bye-bye? And you know they go over there, and he's like, Bruce Willis, he's like, I don't know what you're saying. It's like, what? And he's like, Bruce Willis is like, I'm just happy to be here. And Chris Tucker's just mad. He's very mad at Bruce Willis. And he's like, listen, man. And he starts out too. He's like, now he talks normally. He's like, listen, when we're on the fucking pleasure cruise, you have to give me more than 2 goddamn syllables, okay? All right, so I'm going to go back here and fuck these broads. And so he goes back there, chat, and he performs some ton exercises on some ladies, chats. What happens? That's what happens. Chris Tucker, this shit. It's weird. It's goddamn weird. And so then Bruce Willis and Leeloo, they get into a sleeping pod, and Leeloo, she's like, I'm gonna protect you, Bruce Willis. I'm the fucking 5th element. And you speak English now? It's like, yeah. We're at that point in the story where people are gonna get annoyed by the fact I'm just speaking mumbo jumbo. So I'm speaking regular English words to you. And she goes, convenient. And one of the people presses the button, they get knocked out, chat. They get knocked out, and they're going to go into hyperspace. But while they're going to hyperspace, chat, again, Chris Tucker is performing cunnilingus on the lady. And she's having a great time. There's no doubt about that. We can all agree that she was doing pretty good. But you have to again, it's just fucking weird. It's just very bizarre. And to the point where when they get out of hyperspace is when she has an orgasm. And it's like, okay, all right, great. And so eventually the shuttle, it connects to the pleasure cruise, chat, on this giant water paradise world. And it connects there. Everyone's like, yay! And Bruce Willis, he wakes up. But Leeloo's gone. He's like, where's Leeloo? And he gets up. And he's walking around. It's very Hawaiian. It's the aesthetic is Hawaii, Chad. He's getting all these fucking flowers, and he's getting like a grass skirt on. He's like, where did Leeloo go? I'm confused. And eventually, Chad, he's being like pushed and shoved around because like, all right, you have to do all these things with Chris Tucker, and Chris Tucker, he's changed and he's fucking squealing and shit. Hey, Bruce Willis, how you doing? Like all that shit. And during this time, he gets into his spatial suite. It looks very good, Chad. He's like, I need a suit to change. Because that's why he's actually here, Chad. He needs to meet with his contact. He needs to meet with the opera singer who is hentai. It's just hentai, Chad. And he's like, I need a suit. And they're like, we have all the suits for you. There you go. And he puts on the suit. He's got to go to the show, Chad. Meanwhile, we cut to this giant entourage of people. And they're walking, and there's someone in like a burqa. It's like a blue burqa. Everyone's like, oh shit, oh my god, it's her. Everyone's like all freaked out about it. And eventually she stops at her suite door, and this guy's all flummoxed and shit, but she looks over at Bruce Willis' suite because she eventually has to go there and give him the stones, Chad. She has the stones on her, and she goes in. And eventually, Chad, we cut to the opera room, and Chris Tucker's squealing. It's like, where's the opera room? Yeah! Everyone's squealing. And everyone's sitting down, chatting, like, all right, let's sit down for the show. Bruce Willis, he sits down, he takes a seat. Ian Holm, he's been captured by the authorities, Chat. They found him. They found him. He's under arrest. Meanwhile, the Nimrods, they've infiltrated the ship as well. Okay, a lot of things are happening all at once. Now, chat, we cut to the show, and everyone's seated, and chat, a literal fucking hentai monster walks out, and it's the opera singer. It's this blue tree-like thing. It has all the tentacles, and Bruce Willis is like, that's my contact. It's like, it is. And she starts saying, I'll tell you this, chat, the singing is legitimately good here. I actually like this performance. It was interesting. And it cuts back and forth to multiple other scenes during this time. The first of which is the Nimrods. They've infiltrated the ship, as I said before, and they blast fucking the hentai's entourage. They go in there and they're like, where's the stones? And they're looking for the stones, chat. And they think they found the stones. But meanwhile, chat, we have goddamn Leeloo. She's on the ship too, and she sees the Nimrods because she wants the stones too, because she's the fifth element. And she sees it, and we get like a fucking musical. We get a music video, chat, where she proceeds to just kung fu fight the Nimrods, chat, while this thing is happening. And Bruce Willis is fucking crying during his performance. He just can't believe what he's hearing. This hentai is singing so well, chat. He's just like, oh my god, it's beautiful. He can't believe it. Chris Tucker, he's crying too. Everyone loves it. Also, Gary Oldman, he has infiltrated the ship as well. That he's like, I'm here to do routine maintenance and repairs. I'm like, oh, sure, you have an hour to do it. He's like, that's all the time I need, honey. And so he lands, chat. And after Leeloo, she's beat the shit out of a lot of the Nimrods at this point. Just beat them up. Fucking Gary Oldman, he shows up. And this is the first time in the movie, chat, where Gary Oldman actually meets one of the heroes. I guess he met Bilbo Baggins, but one of the principal heroes, Leeloo. He never meets Bruce Willis in this film. They never interact. Bruce Willis doesn't even know about Gary Oldman in this film. It's crazy. They never come across each other. And he goes, where are the stones? And she goes, right here. She throws them at him. She throws the stones at him. He catches them, Chad. It's in a box. Maybe are the stones in there? We shall see. He catches the box, and he starts shooting at her, and she fucking does some gymnastics, chat. And she goes into the fucking air ducts, and he's shooting at her, and she gets shot. She does get shot pretty good. But then the Nimrods are like, okay, the operation got fucking foobarred. Let's take over the entire ship. And so, chat, they run after the hentai woman she's been saying. They run in there, and they start blasting. They start blasting people, and they blast the hentai woman. She goes down. Bruce Willis catches her, and all this is happening. Chris Tucker's like, what's happening? He's screaming. But then the hentai woman's like, Bruce Willis, you must get the stones to the fifth element. You must take them to the temple that looks like a giant poo on Earth and activate it so the giant magma ball won't kill us. And he goes, but I gotta know where the stones are. And she goes, the stones are inside of me. He's like, that's a beautiful metaphor, but where are the stones? No, she says, no, literally they're inside me. And he goes, what? And she dies. And he goes, wait a minute. And he's like, did she mean that literally? And, like, he finds one of the bullet holes, chat, and he shoves his hand into the bullet hole, making it larger, chat. Rips open her fucking stomach, and is fucking looking around, and Chris Tucker's like, what the fuck are you doing? He's talking, why are you doing this, man? And he can't believe it. And after he gets all the guts out of this hentai woman, he pulls out the stones. Why did you have these things inside of you? Why? He's like, I got the stones. This is very convenient. And eventually you get an action scene. It's like, oh, it's an action movie now. And Bruce Willis, he shows off his skills of being the best military guy ever. He's blasting all the people. Oh, actually, too. So we find out that Gary Oldman never had the stones all along. And he sets up a bomb, Chad. He sets up a bomb in the hotel. It's going to go off in 20 minutes. He's back on his ship. And he opens the case, and he goes, oh, shit, they're not here. Fuck, I got to go back. I got to go back and get the stones. And he goes back there, Chad. But eventually, Bruce Willis, okay, Chris Tucker, you are now my sidekick. You are now my stereotypical black sidekick. Can you fulfill that role? And Chris Tucker goes, go, and so he's like, Chris Tucker agrees. And so Bilbo Baggins, Bruce Willis, Leeloo, they all get on an emergency vehicle. They're going to leave now because they got to get to Earth because the magma ball is heading there too. That magma ball is like 2 hours away. They got to get there really quick. And so now we have Gary Oldman, Chad. He still thinks the stones are there, so he goes back to the Paradise Cruise. Has been evacuated, and there's like 5 seconds left in the clock. And he inserts like a little credit card chip thingy, and deactivates. He goes, whew, thank God for that. But then, Chad, the Nimrods, they know that Gary Oldman's there somehow, and they also place the bomb. They go, fuck it, and they press a button, chat, beep, bop, boop, and the little bomb comes up, and it's set for 5 seconds, and Gary Oldman goes, oh no, and it explodes, and it kills Gary Oldman, chat. What a waste of a character. So he's dead, and President Debo calls Bruce Willis, and he's like, listen, glad you got the stones, glad you got the fifth element, but the evil magma ball of evil is coming towards Earth. You need to get to the Turd Temple to activate everything. And he goes, I will do that, sir. And they fly to Earth, Chad. They land at the poop temple that we saw early in the movie in 1914. They get there, and they start putting the stones and all these things, and they put fucking Lilu right in the middle of them, but nothing's happening. Like, what do we gotta do? And everyone's like playing around with it like it's a goddamn Rubik's Cube. And the altar boy that is owned by Bilbo Baggins, he just goes, because that's the thing. Each stone is an element or whatever. And it's like, we don't know how to activate them. And one of the kids is like complaining, goes, and he blows on it. And a little compartment opens up. And he's like, whoa, what happened? Everyone comes over. He's like, what'd you do? He's like, well, I just said these words and there you go. It's like, no, you didn't. No, dude, we got to somehow figure it out. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing. And he's like, oh, you actually used wind. That was when it activates the thing, Chad. It's like, oh, we have to put a specific element on each stone to activate it, Chad. It's like Avatar. And so they go over to the fucking Earth one, Chad. Bilbo Baggins puts some earth on it. Boom, activates. They go over to the water one. Bilbo Baggins, he's like, oh, he's very sweaty. And he takes his handcloth and get that good old Bilbo Baggins sweat on there, and boop, it drops, activates. And Chris Tucker, he has the flaming one. Get it? And he's like, I don't need fire, man. What am I gonna do? I don't have any goddamn fire. Bruce Willis, you got fire? And he's like, I do have fire. He comes over to Chad because he was quitting smoking, but he has one last match, and he fucking strikes it. He strikes it, and everyone's scared. So, it's gonna go out, and it did it, Chad, and it activates, and he goes over to Lilu's like, Lulu, I've activated. What we gotta do? And it's like, what's the fifth element, Lilu? And she's like, say it. You know what it is. He's like, what do you mean? What do you mean, Lilu? What do you mean? He's like, it's the element we felt when we first met each other. And he's like, what? Say it. And he's like, Lilu, I love you. And then Chad, she vomits. She vomits love. She vomits love. Love splooge. And the vomit love splooge from Lilu's mouth goes up into the sky. It goes up into the sky, Chad. And the magma ball goes, oh shit, love splooge, no! And he's hit by the love splooge, Chad. And it gets him. And it kills him. It kills the magma ball, and he becomes like a secondary moon. And President Debo, he's very sweaty at this point, and the generals tell him, it's like, sir, the fucking love splooge works. And Debo goes, whoo! I'm gonna sit back now. And then, Chad, we cut back to Bruce Willis and Lilu, and after she's done splooging, they start smooching. They're tired. Everyone's tired. And everyone's happy. Chris Tucker's like, yeah, man, we said the goddamn band, yeah! He's happy. Just my best show ever, motherfucker. And, then Ian Holm, Chad, Bilbo Baggins, he's hugging his altar boy, and the altar boy is hugging Ian Holm. It's a good time. But then we cut to the last scene, Chad. We see the scientist from earlier who resurrected Lilu before, and the general, and he's like, yeah, we brought him back here because they were just so exhausted. We just popped him into the little resurrection tube to give him some energy. And the general goes, that's great. President's coming this way. President Debo's like, I need to thank these two heroes. They saved the universe. They deserve some respect. And they're like, well, I'll go wake him up, sir. And the fucking scientist goes over to Chad. He opens the window and goes, they're not ready just yet. They're not ready. And President Debo's like, I have 19 meetings to go to. They think they can spare me a minute. And he's like, maybe give him 5 minutes. He's like, you got 20 goddamn seconds. But then he gets a good old ring on the telephone. It's like, President Debo, it's for you. And he's like, it is the mother of Bruce Willis. He goes, the mother, I will happily speak to her. And she goes, yeah, goddamn idiot, President Debo. I hate you. He's like, I don't want to talk to this woman. She's mean. And then he's like, whatever, let them do what they want to do. And then we cut back to the tube, and Lilu and Bruce Willis are making love, Chad. They're having the sex, and it's hot. It's hot, even though their relationship was predicated on sexual assault and sexual harassment. But there you go, chat. That was the fifth element. The fifth element is love. It's lame. It's a lame element. It's not cool. But a lot of people do love this movie. To each their own. I'm not a big fan of it personally. I respect some elements. I respect some of the aesthetic in this film. The production design is really cool. The animatronics are really cool. I doubt that. There's a good musical number in the film, chat. But personally, it's just not for me. I have a lot of issues with the characters, the story. Again, the story is both extremely simple and unnecessarily complicated. There's characters that never interact with each other that I feel like that could have been cool to see, and that just don't. And it's like, oh, it's that story. You could have actually just cut this one story element completely out of it. It would have been better probably, but to each their own. Yeah, chat. I would probably have to give this. I'd give it a high rental. I give it a high rental because I respect some elements of the chat, but it's just not for me. Not for me. I give it a high rental. 3.5 out of 5. Ruby Rod Cooch Smooches. Yep, that's what they say. Ruby Rod's Cooch Smooches are the best. That is actual dialogue in this film. There you go, chap. What a lame element, right?